And legislation banning bump stocks is gaining support in Congress. 12 of the weapons Stephen Paddock used in his massacre Sunday night were equipped with bump stocks that allow semi-automatic weapons to fire more rapidly, essentially behave as an automatic weapon. Let's bring in Nevada Democratic Congresswoman Jackie Rosen and Rhode Island Democrat Congressman David Cicilline. They are among the co-sponsors of legislation that would ban bump stocks. Congresswoman, your district includes Las Vegas. It's been 5 days since the shooting. What are you hearing and seeing from residents about the impact of that night, and what do they want to see done?
Well, I can tell you that I have seen the most horrific massacre, but I've also seen the biggest kindness. I've seen our first responders, our medical teams, all of our community respond in amazing ways, coming out to give blood, to give care, to give support in every way possible. Our hotels, our casino industry. So in the midst of this horrific tragedy, I've seen the best of humanity. And what everybody wants to see is for us to have these difficult conversations about finding out the causes of some of these reasons we're having this massive amount of gun violence, and having common sense conversations about how we can prevent anyone else from having this tragedy. I love Las Vegas. It's been my home for over 40 years. We're known for doing a lot of big things. This is not the big thing we want to be known for.
You talk about common sense solutions, Congresswoman. Is banning a bump stock enough of a common sense resolution to something like this?
Well, it's a start. And the thing is we want to make it more difficult for people to turn a semi-automatic weapon into an automatic weapon that can, I believe they said the shooter was hitting 9 rounds a second. That is only to murder people. So we can put obstacles in place to not allow someone to have this kind of item that can create just massive amounts of damage. Thank goodness our first responders got there when they did. According to stats out there, more people have died by gun violence in the last 2 days than died total in Las Vegas, just in the last 2 days. 47,000 shootings in this country this year alone, 11,000 deaths. That includes gun violence, it includes purposeful homicides, it also includes accidents, and a number of those are just children who happen to get a hold of their parents' guns in their house, guns the parents brought in, presumably because they were trying to make their families safer. Congressman Cicilline, I'm sorry, I just don't see how a ban on bump stocks really does a lot to impact what we see in this country and the amount of deaths we see from gun violence. Yeah, this was a crazy person shooting at a field, and it was horrific and terrible, and sure, people shouldn't be allowed to use their guns as an automatic weapon, but that's like, I mean, that's trying to heal the symptom, but looking nothing at the cause.
No, you're absolutely right. Look, there are over 100 proposals pending in the Congress of the United States that would significantly reduce gun violence in this country. And this is an opportunity, again, to encourage our Republican colleagues to come to the table, to work with us in a bipartisan way to actually move some of those. I introduced the bump stock bill with 165 co-sponsors. This should be an easy one. There are a number of Republicans who have expressed support for banning it. This allows you to turn a semi-automatic into a machine gun that can then discharge 400 to 800 bullets a minute, a weapon of death. And so this is an easy one. They should be banned right off the start. But you're right. There is much more we need to do. We need to pass universal background checks. We need to make it more difficult for people with serious mental illness to buy guns. We need to keep guns out of the hands of criminals. There are many, many good ideas, but we have so far not had any Republicans, and certainly the Republican House leadership, willing to move forward on any of these proposals. You know, we had San Bernardino, Aurora, Sandy Hook. You know, we always have these moments of silence, and then everyone says, you know, we spend exactly 30 seconds, we say nothing, and we do nothing. And we have been demanding from our Republican House leaders. But exactly right, and we've got to do something. There are lots of good ideas, but so far we have been unsuccessful in persuading the House Republican leadership to bring any of these bills to the floor for a vote. People want common sense gun safety proposals to become to reality. There are a lot of good ideas, and we have got to continue to press our Republican colleagues to bring those bills to the floor and vote. But the bump stock is an easy, quick answer. We ought to do that quickly to show the American people that we can get something done, and then we need to move on to universal background checks and a number of other really good proposals that can significantly reduce gun violence in this country.
I mean, let's be honest, handguns kill more people in this country than a person with a bump stock on their semi-automatic weapons. I mean, there's horrific events, but handguns are what kill people in this country on a daily basis. Congressman Brett Stevens, conservative, New York Times op-ed columnist, had an interesting op-ed the other day that he said the Second Amendment should be repealed. And in it, he argued that the reason that Democrats are so unsuccessful in getting any gun legislation passed is because nobody believes Democratic lip service when they talk about guns. They don't believe that Democrats really do value the Second Amendment. And he says if the Democrats want to get anything done, they should just go for what the Democrats, he thinks, believe, which is that the Second Amendment is not helping this country in any way. And there should be a movement to try and change the Constitution, repeal that amendment. It's not keeping anyone safer.
Well, I haven't read his op-ed, but what I'll tell you is this, is I support the Second Amendment fully. And what I really want to see as a former systems analyst is that we repeal that restriction on doing the analysis across the country of causes of violence. So let's say, for example, we find a leading cause of gun death is for domestic violence or abusers, and we can turn resources into helping victims, into help educate, into mental health services and support services. So unless we do this analysis and we see what the causes are across the country, just like you were mentioning, so many deaths even in the past few days across the country, if we do this analysis, those analytics can lead us to each of our communities to find common sense solutions that may be different than what we think. So I fully support the Second Amendment, and I think we need to do the analysis to point us in the right direction.
Congresswoman Jackie Rosen and Congressman David Cicilline, guys, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And as Vice President Mike Pence prepares to